For me, I honestly didn't feel like I was going to be part of the top 10. But since I am, I'm really proud, and I'd like to thank God and thank my parents and all the support I've gotten.
My mom thought I failed, and she was like, "Oh, you're thinking of supplementing." And every time I would be like, "No, that's not what it is. I'm just stressed. It's just stress." But I wouldn't say it to her. So for her, like, she would try to lighten up the mood because she could see, Hore, I'm very stressed. But it didn't work, to be honest. But in the end, I was so surprised when I got the call that I'm in the top 10.
Hello everyone and welcome to season 2 of MPA Speaks. Today with us we have the 2024 graduating top 10 class. And we're basically just going to be saying our final salutations to the teachers, the students we're leaving behind, and just MPA as a whole. So yeah, come with us and hopefully you'll enjoy the first episode of season 2.
MPA Speaks is a podcast by MPA students where we'll be talking about life at school, education, and life after school.
Alright, guys, so next question. How did you grow as an individual during your time at MPA? Like, think about your skills, study habits, and your mindset in general. Yeah.
Okay, so for this particular question, most of us when we were asked about our favorite memories, we mentioned S2, right? But I feel like S2 as a year, because we were so young, okay, not ridiculously young, but we were like 13, 14, right? Which is a very volatile age to say the least. There was a lot of anger, there were a lot of emotions, there was a lot of things going on, right? So I just feel like all of us, regardless of like school stuff, I feel like we've grown a lot from who we were in S2. And we've just become like generally more grown, more mature people. And I've always been a person who like, I don't want to say I'm smart because that sounds cocky, but I've never really felt the need to study. And I've never really needed to because even in primary school, I never had to open textbooks, I never had to read, but I would still pass. Like I had like 98% averages all throughout primary without having to read anything. But then I got to MPA, and on the first day I got like a 33%. Because we wrote a test the first day I arrived at the school, I still remember that, and I failed it. So I feel like over the years, I've kind of learned to humble myself a bit. Like I still think that I'm a very intelligent person naturally, and I still feel like there's a lot of things that I can figure out. But I've also learned that the textbook is not your enemy, and that you're not really gonna succeed that well if you decide to never study at all. Especially in S4, because in the beginning, it's not that I was failing, but the grades that I was getting wasn't really anything I was used to at all. So I feel like I've just kind of learned to adapt when the years pass, like not to get stuck in the past, to grow as a person and to improve and all that.
Yeah, and I agree with Pokang because I was the same way. Like, I didn't read as much as I do now. I mean, I still did study every now and then, but just when I felt like I have a test coming up, I just never did it naturally. And now I don't want to say I do it when I'm bored, but when I don't have anything to do, I'll just like pull up a book and read something.
All right, you are one of the top 10 students in Maseru Private Academy. How do you feel? Did you know you were part of the top 10 before you got your results? And what did you do to get there?
Firstly, I didn't think I'd be here, guys. I remember during the December holidays, especially during the last few days leading up to the release of the results, I could barely eat, I could barely sleep. And I had so many panic attacks on the morning of the release. And I got here and I saw my results slip, and I was so excited to see that I'd actually done well. Yeah. How I did it, how it happened for me, I learned that I need to find what works for me specifically. I remember at the beginning of the year, I got so many opinions of people telling me, you're going to have a study timetable, you're going to have to study in a quiet place, you need to focus this and this and that. And I tried that for the first term and it didn't go well. So term 2, I tried to sit down and find out what works for me. And I found that what actually works, like the best study sessions for me is those times when I'm just sitting casually and the music is up to a max and I'm just vibing to the music, and then that's when I'll really study and actually remember what I studied. Yeah.
How did I, okay, did I know? At some point, I wasn't very confident after writing like the final exams, because before then I was confident. I was like, nah, I'm gonna do this. But then I feel like there was so much pressure like bestowed upon me that I sort of actually went down, because like during the exams, maybe when I was writing and then maybe I don't know the answer to a particular question, I would never skip the question, because there would be that voice inside that's like, no, remember, you have to be the best. These people are depending on you. And that's what actually, I'm talking about my parents and all those other people, yeah. So that actually sort of pulled me down. So after writing, I wasn't really confident that I would even make it to the top 10. It was that bad. But then, yeah, I was actually eating a lot because I had so much stress. I'm sure you all can say I gained weight, Yana. Yeah, because I had so much stress. I couldn't sleep at times. I would just be on my phone trying to forget about it, but then my parents would always remind me, oh, hey, like the results of this one. So, yeah, and when I got the transcript, I know they're good marks, but honestly, I was disappointed because I know I can do better. Actually, those results don't define who I am and what I'm capable of. Yeah, so how I did it, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to everyone and say I had a study timetable and everything. I found it so hard to read. Honestly, I'm a person that battles with procrastination and lack of time management. All my classmates can tell you that I was late almost all the time, every day. And I was also late today. It's fine. But then, above all that, what I think helped me a lot is that during the classes when we were being taught and everything, I could actually listen and understand the information quickly. And the sooner I would understand the information, the sooner it would be registered in my head, basically. So what I now had to do was just maybe revise when you're about to write a test, 30 minutes, because I can't read over that, because I'd end up sleeping or being derailed. I had so many distractions at home. So what I think helped me a lot is the fact that I could actually listen to the teacher, and if I don't understand, I ask a question, I get the clarity that I need. If I still don't understand, then I'd go to the teacher and ask for thorough explanation. I'd also watch YouTube videos, but I didn't really have a study routine.
I was not expecting to be in the top 10, to be honest. I was so chill. I was like, whatever I got, can't it? No, my parents know. My mom knows. I would think for her seeing me every day, I think I found solace. I was stressed like everyone else. I found solace mostly in studying. So she actually thought, my mom thought I failed, and she was like, oh, you're thinking of supplementing. And every time I would be like, no, that's not what it is. I'm just stressed. It's just stress. But I wouldn't say it to her. So for her, like, she would try to lighten up the mood because she could see, Hori, I'm very stressed. But it didn't work, to be honest. But in the end, I was so surprised when I got the call that I'm in the top 10. I was really not expecting it, in as much as in the past few years, I think in S2 and S3, I made it to the prize giving ceremony. I was not expecting this at all because the exams were not They were not easy. S4 was not easy on me. It wasn't easy on all of us. So having made it to this point, I'm actually really proud of myself. I wanted to have done better like Dumelo, but I think I'm actually really proud of where I am, knowing what I did, the process I went through. I was, at the beginning of this year, last year, I had a lot of work on my plate to a point where I was just not sleeping. I would sleep at 12 and then I had to wake up at 4. I was sleeping at 1, had to wake up at 4. And that contributed to me not being able to focus in class, which is what I was trying to advise the current class of 2025 not to do. I was trying to tell them how they should actually get some rest, because from my experience, it didn't help in term 1, not sleeping and completing on all those assignments. I'm not saying don't do your work, do it, but also get enough rest, because I found that in term 2, I was able to grasp more content. I was doing better. I did better at the end of the term because I found a system that works for me, whereby at 10 I would be like, pens down, I'm sleeping. I don't care what I've done, what I haven't done, I'll see it in the morning, but for now I need to rest. I prioritized my mental well-being in the end, which kind of helped me to get to where I am.
For me, I honestly didn't feel like I was going to be part of the top 10, but since I am, I'm really proud, and I'd like to thank God and thank my parents and all the support I've gotten. And I really know that I didn't really spend my December or my last holidays peacefully, because I'll always have that thought that I'm going to get my results soon. But the way I would really compensate for that was that I would just watch on YouTube about how people, like the reactions of people when they get the results, and it was really funny. But I know that was really wrong, but it was the only thing that could compensate me a lot. And how did I do it? For me, I really like to thank my mom, because as a single parent who's been raising me, she's been like hoping for me to do best. Yeah, both my parents too, but I really like to thank my mom, who's been there for me, like physically, because she's been there for me and always been pressurizing me to be the best version of myself. And honestly, even though I was a person who would have insomnia sometimes, I'd prioritize it by, like, I'm a person who would have 8 hours of sleep or 9 hours of sleep. But when I have insomnia around probably 3 a.m. or 2 a.m., then I know that, okay, Morena, let's log in. We have to be the best version of ourselves or myself. So I had to like read at those times at 3 a.m. when the world is quiet or when the house is quiet. And I would have some music on, well, some chill music on. And then, I would study probably for like 2 hours or 1 hour if I was feeling okay. But sometimes it would be 30 minutes, like Jumana said. But it depends on the mood that I'm feeling.
I'm looking so surprised we have so much to say on this topic. Like, this is the longest we've talked since like the beginning of the podcast. Because for me, I'd like to say, okay, first, how did I feel about being in the top 10? Did I expect it? Yes. That may seem very cocky, but like, since I got to S2, I've been in the top 10. So even right now in the S4 prize giving ceremony, I was 3rd position. So I didn't really go into the holidays thinking, oh no, I probably failed. No, I was just thinking I probably didn't pass as well as I would have wanted to, but I still thought I passed. Because even when I was writing the exams, I was like, okay, there's some things I don't know, but generally, all of these things that I studied S1, S2, S3, S4, I still have that information. And that's what I left on the test paper. So I wasn't really all that stressed about it. Like during the holidays, I went out to parties and stuff for like the first time in my life. I went to Roof of Africa. I've never been. And I went to Khutsong Lodge with people. And it was fun. And I was letting myself relax because I didn't want to be stressed about the results while there's literally nothing I could have done about it, right? And how did I do it? As much as I like to complain about you guys asking me questions and stuff, And begrudgingly, I have to admit that was pretty useful, because the fact that y'all kind of forced me to kind of go back on what I actually know and find different ways to explain it so that y'all would understand it, it helped the information stick in my head a bit more. So as much as I hated that y'all would kind of force me to answer questions for you, it did help me study in the long run, so I'm slightly grateful. And another thing in terms of how did I do it, back to what Nzimiseng said about rest, right? But I didn't rest in the sense that like sleep 8 hours every day. I rested in the sense that like, don't stress about it. Like this information, you've been doing this since S1. You've learned all of this. There's no way that when you get in that Cambridge exam room, everything that you've been learning for 4 years is suddenly gone. You know all of this stuff. And if you stress yourself out about it, that's where you're gonna start forgetting when you actually get in the exam room. So what I would say is, as much as, yes, you have to like be aware of the fact that these are your Cambridge examinations, you have to take them seriously. That doesn't mean that it should be weighing on your conscience. Whatever you find fun, find time to do it. Some people were knitting, some people were exercising, but the point is, whatever you find fun, try to find a way to continue doing it, still enjoy life. Cambridge doesn't mean that like, now you have to be a zombie, all you can think about is Cambridge, you're not a person anymore. You still need to like, exist as a whole, so yeah.
I mean, I feel happy about being in the top 10 and being position 1, but like, it wasn't all that unexpected, because I know what I work towards, and yeah, I studied a lot. And I know I've been downplaying how much I actually worked for this, but like, even before we opened schools, I was... Okay, so, like, even before schools opened, like in December, January, last year, I was already studying. I was compiling my notes for when we opened, and after we opened, like, literally, after school every single day, I would just sit down, do my homework, and read, just so I can have enough time for rest. And I woke up early in the morning, read, came to school, and I made sure to pay attention in class, because I know that I gained the most from listening in class, because that's when I grasp most of my information, because I wasn't a person that read that much, so I knew that was one of my biggest strengths, listening, and I made sure to prioritize that. And also in the mornings, I would read, just sit by myself and read and answer my classmates' questions, because that also helped me. And also making study groups and explaining to people, that's something else that helped me, like Morang said. And yeah, that's basically how I got here.
How I feel about being part of the top 10 is I was very happy when I heard that from my mom, that she got a call from the school saying that your daughter is part of the top 10. Because yes, I got good results. Yes, they put me in the top 10. But I could have done way better. Like way better. Like I know it too. Like that's why I resonate with Tumelo and Bokang when they say they could have done better. I know I could have done better, but like I can't change the time. I can't move into the past. So I'm very thankful. And like, yeah, how did I do it? I knew some content, but then I knew that in biology, if excretion appears in that paper 4, I'm cooked. So what did I do when I was writing biology? I'd focus on topics that I know quite well, that if this one appears, there goes my A. Like, there goes that one credit. So I'd focus on the things I knew quite well, that I am going to miss this if it appears. The ones I knew, they know us, like very early in the morning, 30 minutes before we are called into the exam, I'll be holding my Z notes, summarizations, just going through it just to check whether I still know everything from the top of my head. And then everything comes with support from the family. My mom was my greatest supporter, my dad too. After writing that one physical science paper too, like I knew I had an A star. I knew, I felt it evaporate. And I told my mom, like, I don't see anything going on here. And she just held me, and I literally cried after that paper. I still remember how much I cried after that paper. But she was like, it's not the end of the world. Another way I did this was, my marks were good, but they were not satisfying. So she was like, I'm not going to have a child that I know is smart, and she's not going to get the results I want. So she used to take me to like private lessons. I had like math extra lessons, biology extra lessons, and physical science extra lessons. People know I did not rest. Monday to Sunday it was me in school. But me in school doesn't mean that I didn't give myself time to sleep. Just like Ntsim saying, there was a set time, 9:30, you'd never find me anywhere. I am sleeping and I wake up at 5.